push play here. We're about to get it. We are about to get it. Let's do this. Hey, oh, cheerio. What up? Oh, so many great things. So many great things. I think my greatest thing from yesterday is that I have been learning new things. And one of the new things that I've been learning is that I don't season food, and I should. And so yesterday I was like, okay, you're right. I just got to season food, like put things on it. Just that's going to be the answer. And I seasoned. I'm like, okay, I want this food to taste like it belongs together, like there was thought in it, because everything that I make tastes so singular. So like you have your noodle, and then like if I'm just making spaghetti, and then you have your sauce, but they don't like come together to make spaghetti. It's like the noodle, and that's a very singular tasting thing, and then the sauce, and that's a very singular tasting thing, and you could put the sauce on the noodle, but they still don't taste like they belong together. And so I've been being taught that it is important to season the food, and that may be what takes you over that. So last night I'm like, okay, just season the food. I can do this. That really doesn't seem like that crazy of thing. For those of us joining me on YouTube, I'm just saying I am not drinking my green juice like I usually do. And that is because I'm out of apples. Blech. Anyways, so for our visual viewers, I don't have any green juice with me this morning, and it's kind of making my stomach hurt. Okay, so yesterday I'm like, okay, season things, make the food, and I'm like, just don't go crazy. Let's just start with spaghetti. You can't mess that up. You got this, right? And so they said like, okay, pour in the seasoning just a little at a time and then taste it every time. But I'm like, you know me, all in, all the time. Yeah. And so I'm like, well, if we're seasoning the sauce already kind of has seasoning in it, but okay, add more. I get that. So I add seasoning to the sauce, and I'm like, wait, what if we season the noodles and the sausage? Like, what if we go there? Then maybe that's the thing, right? So I'm seasoning all those things, but you can't really like taste test the noodles and the sausage. So I'm just like, just more, probably, since I use none, more. And so I seasoned it a lot. I seasoned all the things, and you guys, what I wish I was about to tell you is that I made the best meal, and that's what in my head I'm going to like my whole family sitting down and being like, whoa, Mom, wow, I've never tasted anything that tasted before. Sheesh, golly, you certainly got this down. You can cook, go girl. And we'll go ahead and just cut directly to the reality of my life, and that's that by and large, everyone was like, wow, this is salty. This is really salty. It's kind of hard to get down. It's like so salty, it's like sticking to your throat. And then what I remembered as we sat down to the saltiness is that if it gets too salty, you just add sugar. But I didn't do that because I was just like a victim at that point. Like, oh man, am I ever going to get this right? But then I'm just like, you know what? We tried. and I'm still not going to give up. I'm telling you, cooking is eventually going to be something that I venture down. Like, I will get this. It bothers me to the point where I ask like actual strangers how they do things well. And so you should know that I haven't fully committed to it yet. So I haven't committed to being better at it. Right now I'm just in the phase of like feeling this out and feeling which direction I need to go and researching and figuring out what's right for me. And I haven't found that yet. And I found out last night that it's not seasoning things or over seasoning things. Like, there's a balance there. I gotta find it. But this is kind of how my cycles work. I gotta like figure out if it's for me, and this is what I've officially decided. Cooking is gonna have to be for me. We're gonna have to do that the rest of my life. So we're gonna have to figure this out. I just haven't quite figured out how to win at it yet, but I promise you. I promise. I will not fall victim to this. I will figure this out. I just haven't figured out what my approach is yet. Trust. We about to get there. I had like a good run this winter where I was like in a sink. I was in it to win it. I had this thing down. And I feel like I'll get back there. You know, right now during quarantine, it's been hard they haven't had the normal things that I like in stock. So it's been hard to kind of get back into what that flow looked like. But we're getting back there. We'll come back, right? It was like right before the quarantine, I was finally finding like a pretty okay place to be at with food and the making of said food. And then when I had to cook like every single meal, every single second of every single day. And on top of that, I can't even go in and like grocery shop like a normal human being. I have to like depend on being able to order things that are coming out of stock every 2 seconds. Like, that's a blow to the ego of someone who was like finally coming into stride. Come on, people. Why you gotta do me like that, world? Really? I was like kind of getting this down. So much so that I almost even did like, well, there is proof. I did like one food blog of like, hey, I'm really tearing this up, people. Pay attention. If you've ever struggled with this, I got you. Right? Like, I was in it to win it. There are probably podcasts on here that were about that moment. And then life just happens, right? And I think that's so true of anything that you do, is like eventually life catches back up and it hits you and it questions you and it says, how willing are you to continue this? Oh, I have the hiccups. That's great timing. Hello, child. Could you sit there quietly?
Well, I have to make it.
Okay. Okay, I got rid of those hiccups, I think. But yeah, like, that's just, it stinks, but it doesn't have to remove you from what you're trying to do. And so I haven't been fighting it, because the one thing that I learned, I was training for a marathon probably almost 5 years ago now, and one of the podcasts that I was listening to, they said, don't fight the wind. Eventually it'll be at your back again. But if you use up all your energy fighting the wind, you aren't going to have the energy to use the wind later. So don't fight the wind. And I think that's been this very much this pandemic movement for me, is like, don't fight the wind. It's just right here. It's okay. It's okay. Right? You don't have to fight it. Everyone's going through it right now. It is just a struggle, and it's okay, Hannah. It's okay that you had food locked down and you were feeling good about that, and then you took this ego blow to this new stride that you were coming into, and it's okay that you aren't finding success in that right now, because you're just not at a top performance peak. Like, the wind will come back, but if I spend all my energy hating myself for sucking again, hating myself for not having it together, I'm going to take myself down 10 levels below where I was before this all started. And so it is vital that we are not fighting the wind. It's okay. It's okay to be right here. Don't take yourself lower. Everyone is struggling with this. And last night, I really thought that I was killing it. I really thought that, like, this was going to be it for me, that it was just a seasoning issue. And we've learned that is not the issue either, but I'm not going to be done seasoning food. I think I can get it. I just got to keep trying, right? So my great thing was just coming home and trying something. And miserably failing at it, right? And I know myself well enough to know that I will not fall to that. This will not be the end. I still have something to do here. I don't know what it is with cooking, but I'll be back. We gotta eat. We gotta eat in this family. That's a part of what this community is about, finding our greatness, finding greatness in our everyday. It is a daily practice of greatness. You can go ahead and join in on that. We want to see how great our community is. We want to celebrate each other. We want to be here for one another. So today we're going to dive in on if you're feeling lost right now, because who isn't? Right? Like, everything just went crazy. And so if you're feeling lost right now, I'm with you. I'm here for you. I know that feeling. And we're going to talk about what you can be doing right now to start that realignment process, to know that you're in alignment with your life and where you want to head because of this crazy right now. So if you're feeling lost, this is the episode for you. This is where you want to be. Let's get going. So on the topic of alignment, and I like to talk about alignment a lot because I truly believe that alignment and specificity around what aligns with you is what's going to take you to that next level. So right now, since we're all in this place of being lost, and we're all in a place of having a little more quiet time than we usually do. And by quiet time, I don't mean that your kids aren't screaming in your ear all day long, or that you don't have more stresses at work than less. I'm just saying there's a little less noise on weekends and after work because activities have been limited, because get-togethers have been limited. Those kind of extracurriculars that would usually fill our schedules have backed down a little bit. And so it is a great time to start your realignment process, right? And so what can you do right now? What can you be doing? I think one of the biggest things for me, one of the biggest movements that you can make is forcing yourself to imagine. And what I say force because trust. When you start to take that step, you'll uncover all of these reasons why you can't. And so, yes, force yourself to imagine. Force it. When I sit down and imagine, and if you want to start, if imagining granular is too big, right? If that seems hard for you right now, I want you to just start with imagining your perfect day. Okay? Imagine your perfect day. What does it look like? What are you doing? Yes, not just perfect vacation day, perfect like day in this world. If you had energy, if you had things, and that means nothing is off the table, right? Because we're just imagining. Give yourself freedom and space to just imagine your perfect day. Okay? And I want you, when you go there, to eliminate that inner voice of doubt, of that's not realistic. Like, take yourself to that space where you just allow yourself to imagine your perfect day. What are you doing? Close your eyes. Imagine that. Take yourself there. What is it? What is it for you? So for me, a perfect day looks like speaking and writing and walking my kids to school and moving my body 2 times a day. I know. I just love movement. I feed so much off of it. I love that energy. And that doesn't look like Hannah's training for a marathon and she's running 7,000 miles a day. That literally looks like getting my workout in the morning and maybe doing some sort of like fun, dancey, yoga-y, recentering thing. But that's kind of what my perfect day would look like, right? In this world. And then it also looks like, I don't want you to think of these things as separate, right? Don't think of them as like vacation self and perfect day self. Think of them all inclusively, because the reality is, if vacation is what you're about, let's go ahead and build something around that, right? Let's make that your everyday. Let's make that more days than less, and let's go there. What could that look like? But first, we got to get to imagining. So over the weekend, or maybe you have some time tonight, I want you to just sit and allow yourself to imagine. And we've been working on this practice, but I'm going to start walking you through things that can build us up to come back more aligned in our lives, to have a better feeling of what our yeses and nos are, and to be able to speak clearly to those things and to know, right? We all just want to know. And I think we all do. We just need to start trusting. So part of that trust, part of that experience really looks like allowing yourself to dream, allowing yourself to imagine. And if you feel like you can go to a place of imagining your whole life, go for it. Imagine it. Write it down. Journal it. Make it something substantial. But if you feel like you can't allow yourself that room, then go ahead and dream up your dream day. Are you getting coffee at Starbucks? Are you working at Starbucks? Are you going to your killer nursing job that you love and you're connecting with patients and you're like vibing because you're helping people and you love that, and then you come home and maybe you do crafts, or maybe you just take a bubble bath? Like, get that specific. What does that dream day look like? What do those interactions look like? What kind of person are you showing up as? Okay, that's step 1. Like, how are we going to start to realign this? How are we going to start to live that life? I want you to dream up that dream day. And that's the number one thing that I ask people. Well, what does your dream day look like? Because that's the reality, right? A lot of times we don't imagine that could be possible. And so we aren't willing to say that. I love talking to like freshly graduated or people who are in college, because they have this like beautiful sense of the lack of reality. And I think that untouchedness is what the world needs, right? Because if it, like, I can imagine myself when I got out of college, like, this is what I'm going to do. This is how this is going to align. And then all of a sudden you're hit with like, oh no. And that doesn't just come from the real world, that comes from the people who love you, that comes from just looking around. And once you settle in to what your life could look like and what it is, you start to realize that maybe those things aren't possible. And then you start to venture down that path and you lose this earnestness that we all deserve, right? What? I gotta go turn on the movie. I'll turn it on. I'm turning it on. Disney? What Disney do you want? The what? I'm back. When my children wake up, we are all in trouble. Okay. All right. So now you're writing that dream day down, or what your dream life looks like. Now you're doing that. That's going to create this idea. Now, when you do that, here's the second step. When you do that, I need you to write down those limiting beliefs that come up. So like, if it's me in my past self and life, this is what it would look like. I really want to write and like put my ideas and thoughts into the world. I have a lot of them. I have a lot of feelings. I want to do something with that. I want to be creative. I want to tap into that. And this is what that conversation with myself would have looked like 3 years ago, before I started on this work. Oh, Hannah, that's so cute, except for you don't have any money to do that. Like, rich people can do that, but like, you don't get to have those dreams. Okay, sister? So go ahead and trot on back. That's cute. Like, pat my own self on the head. That was so cute, right? And then the next thing would be like, oh yeah, and you're not even good at that. Okay? Like, no one thinks you're good at that. You realize. Okay? But go ahead. Go ahead and you can try. Then the last thing, usually that would just circle up the trifecta of my own limiting beliefs, would be that it just isn't possible. That like you don't have the connections to do that. You're dumb. Okay, no. Your dumb would go over in the writing. You're not even good at that. You're too dumb. You can't edit things. You don't know how to write words. You really don't know how to make sentences. You're probably the dumbest person that's ever walked this planet. But yeah, go ahead and write. That seems like a good idea. Go ahead and put your ideas out into the world, you dumb idiot. Please don't. Please stop. Hard stop. Why would you do this? Why would you even want to? You're crazy, right? So that's like the trifecta of my limiting beliefs. Had I said what my dream day would look like, had I said what my dream life was going to look like, I would go ahead and talk myself out of it. And it usually revolved around those three things. You don't have any money to live your dream life. And so you shall have no dreams because of that one thing. You're dumb. You're the dumbest. There's never been a dumber person than you. You have no talent. Good luck. Third, you aren't connected the way everyone else is. You didn't grow up that way. You don't have those people. You're never going to have those people. Why would you even try? So those would be my three things. I'm going to write those three things down because here's what. Those things are going to come up again and again and again and again. And so it's pretty easy. For me, I just want to listen into what those voices are saying. For me, they're really consistent. And when I look at what other people struggle with, when I talk to other people, they pretty consistently revolve around the same kind of core things. And my belief is that those core things, right back to what we were told when our dreams died, what we experienced when our dreams died, what we grew up listening to, right? I always grew up listening to money, and money being the root of possibility and no one having possibility. And so that is a real limiting belief for me, right? So once we dream it, then we're going to write down what those limiting beliefs are. The reason is once we call those things out, it becomes so much easier to beat them, right? Have you ever watched game tape before? Have you ever looked at what the competitor is doing? Have you ever had that be something that talked you out of doing something? Yeah. It's a thing. So it's important to know what you're going to come up against. And the 7 in me, Enneagram 7, wants to just go ahead and brush it under the rug. Trust, I lived a good majority of my life just brushing these like negative things that came up into my mind. Like, no, it's okay. We don't have to have connect, blah, 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 blah. And instead of dealing with them, I would just kind of hide that they even existed. And what I find is that I can actually transition past them quicker now that I've given them a name, now that I know what they are. Because when that voice comes up, when that voice says, no, you're not enough, no, you don't have what you need, no, you'll never find it, I can just say, yeah, but I'll never find it if I never start, right? And so like I have these kind of combative phrases that I say to that voice when it comes up. And then I'm just like, okay, hater, right? Because you're just working against yourself. Do not kid yourself. You are competing with no one more than yourself, right? And so then I start to write up these combative terms that I'm going to use to come up against those limiting beliefs. So you can work into this practice. You can start realigning your life, but first you're going to have to say what it would look like, what it looks like in its best instance, because I truly believe that a lot of you are in stride. And all it's going to take is to become higher, to really align with where you want to go. It's just going to take writing down those specific things so that you know what's in alignment. Because what happens when we don't is we can be pretty darn close, but we get so far off with everything else that we just start filling time. And then pretty soon we start showing up everywhere but nowhere, right? That's per my writing book, my life language here. We just start showing up in the world, but not really where we truly want to be. And so we could be pretty close to in stride, but if we don't take a step back, and now is such a great time because we're all feeling a little lost right now, right? And if you just take a little bit of time right now to start realigning your life, we can come back stronger from this. We can come back more aligned. We can come back saying the things that are going to work for us, and know your soul will start answering questions. You won't. She'll know. She'll start telling you where to go. She'll start telling you what aligns and what doesn't, but she really can't move there if you don't give her grace to imagine it, right? And so I think the 2 action steps that you can take today is to write down what your dream day looks like, what your dream life looks like. And yes, get as specific as what the bubble bath bubbles you're using in your bubble bath every night. Like, get that specific. What does it look like to you today if you were to live your dream day out? Right? And you're probably pretty close. That's the beautiful thing. A lot of us are in this journey kind of going, I feel lost. It's not quite right. Where I don't want you to go, and this is what I want to save everyone from, is like going off the deep end because you haven't quite felt right. You feel aligned, but then sometimes you don't, and you start spinning and just filling to try to figure out, to try to navigate what's right or what isn't. And it feels like if you just do more, you'll get there quicker. You will get running off the end of your track quicker doing that. I can only tell you because I am like a high volume, high pace type of person. And so I experience things faster than most people. And I can tell you that it doesn't work because I've already tried it about 12 times and ended up in the same railroad car off the tracks place. So these are the action steps. If you're feeling lost right now, you can start taking steps to realign your life, and we're going to start walking through what that's going to look like, working through this pandemic, because we're all feeling a little bit lost right now, right? It would be crazy to not. And so instead of coming back from the pandemic and being like, you know what, I'm going to figure this out and I'm going to try 10 million things, let's not just try everything and not really show up for anything. Let's take this time to really say what we want, because the second that you start doing that is the second that your dreams and your life can kind of start to manifest in front of you. I am telling you, action, clear action, aligned action always leads to clarity. It does. I can just tell you from just the action of doing this podcast and saying, this is what I want to do, how many doors have opened right in front of me. Now, lately, it's been more closed than open, but even the doors that did open led me to a newer, clearer place, even if I failed while that door was open, right? And so those are the 2 things that I want you to do today. Just allow yourself to imagine that space, what that dream day would look like. Get specific, obviously. I truly believe that specificity leads to success. I've seen it happen over and over and over in my life, in my other adventures, in what this would look like. Sorry, we're having movie issues, apparently. Hold on. We're just getting into the flow here. Dang it. So, that's what I want you to do today. Okay? Dream what your dream day would look like. And then listen to what those limiting beliefs are that come up. Is it imposter syndrome? Is it a money thing? Is it, I don't know, a handful of things? What are they? Write them down. Call them out. Name them. And then tomorrow, we're going to talk about what to do with those limiting beliefs, how to overcome them, so that you can start taking that first step, the first one that's right in front of you, so that you can start in that alignment journey for you. So tune in tomorrow. That's what we're going to do. That's going to be the build up to this work, is really how to start aligning your life, and then how to start combating those limiting beliefs, right? So come on back tomorrow. I can't wait to see you. As always, you're smart, you're strong, you're beautiful. What are you going to do?
Change the world.
Change the world.